I can't believe that it's been over 3 months since I've released a video, and for that, I am truly sorry. Between my toddler now being a toddler and me getting a full-time job, I'm just kind of exhausted, and I haven't had as much time or energy to put into the things that I really do enjoy, like creating content for you guys. But so in honor of me finally making another video, we're going to talk about my favorite topic today, and that's going to be forehands. And should you learn to forehand, or should you not? So if you're new to disc golf and you don't know what a forehand is, it's pretty simple. Instead of doing that reach back like you see the guys doing on TV and throwing the disc by kind of trebucheting your arm and letting it sling out, a forehand is that throw they're doing where they kind of are holding it more like a baseball when you throw a rock like a skipping stone, and they're just kind of flicking their wrist. Now, a forehand is very different from a backhand throw. We're gonna break down some of these reasons real quick. So really the biggest difference between the backhand and the forehand is not only going to be your body positioning and how you do it, but the first thing I'd like to say is you're spinning the disc in a different direction than the backhand throw. So the backhand throw, if you were a right-handed player, when you are releasing the disc, it is spinning clockwise when it comes out of your hand. Now what that means is if your disc is a stable disc, let's say, so it has a stronger tendency to want to fade, then that means that your disc is going to fade to the left. Whereas with a forehand, when you throw the disc is going to be spinning counterclockwise. So the disc isn't going to fade to the left, it's actually going to fade to the right. So should you learn how to forehand? Well, now that you know what a forehand is, it's really up to you. There are players that are extremely successful just throwing backhand. I think of Isaac Robinson, I think of James Conrad, because the truth is, you don't need to learn how to forehand, but I do think it can benefit you greatly, especially as newer players. At the pro level, having an elite level forehand is different than like the average person's forehand. And I think to the average person, having a forehand can really help your game. So my big case for why everyone should learn how to forehand is going to be, since the disc is spinning in a different direction, so we're getting the disc to do a mirrored version of the backhand flight, you've essentially doubled the shot capacity that's inside of your bag if you learn how to throw a semi-proper forehand. You know, your stable discs that want to go left, cool, now they're going to want to go right, and there are lines that call for that. So reason number one you should give some effort to learning how to forehand is going to be you can double your shot shapes of your bag just like that by learning how to forehand. The second reason that I believe people should try and give some effort into learning how to forehand is the fact that you're facing your target the entire time. If you're just learning your backhand throw, you kind of know that you can't stare at your target while you're throwing. But with a forehand, you're kind of lining your body up and you can keep your eyes on the target the entire time. That's so valuable. The fact that you can keep your eyes on the target or landing zone, for me personally, just makes me feel like it's so much easier for me to follow through and get my release point exactly where I need it to be. Which is why I throw a lot of forehands in the woods, because I can hit gaps much more reliably. Why? Because I'm facing my target. I'm looking at it instead of trusting the motions that I'm going through with the backhand throw. Reason number three, guys, is gonna be the mechanics of the forehand are so much simpler than a backhand throw. With the backhand throw, you can do standstill, you can do your run up with your X step, you've got your reach back, how far you reach back, how much are you turning your shoulders, how close is the disc coming into you when you're throwing, is your elbow up, is the nose angle gonna be right, are we releasing, and are we following through? That's a lot for a backhand motion. Forehand, even at the pro level, watch these guys. When they're throwing, sometimes they cock back really far, but all of it's just right here in the wrist. It's just a simple face your target and flick your wrist. It's a much simpler movement in terms of the mechanics. There's not as many elements to it, and therefore I think it is easier to reliably replicate and pull off good shots. and learn quicker too. I personally feel like my forehand has been way more reliable over time than my backhand throw. My backhand throw has gotten better, but really quickly into me playing disc golf, I was able to lock in my forehand throw, and it hasn't changed very much since then. So since I can face my target, and since I can get a more reliable release because I'm using a simpler set of motions, I really enjoy throwing forehands specifically for my approach shots, my up shots to the basket. I think it's one of the strongest parts of my game currently and has been for a while. So all of those factors lined up, it just makes for consistent disc golf. So, should you learn to forehand? I think so. I think it's worth spending a couple days out in the field or out at the course and really learning how to dial in those forehands. So I'm going to show you guys how I learned how to forehand, and sometimes when my forehand isn't feeling too good, I'll take a step back and work on these basics again just so I can get that muscle memory back, and it gives me more confidence as we go. So the way that I started out learning how to forehand was I just came out to an open field. I grabbed my putters and my mid-ranges. Now that's the one thing that might be different for you all, is you might just want to start with your mid-ranges or fairway drivers, because a lot of my putters have a pretty deep lip on them. And these lid type putters, sometimes people have a hard time forehanding with them. I still think they're excellent teaching tools, so if you have them, go ahead and throw with them because they'll teach you how to finesse these discs. So essentially all we're going to do is we're going to take 2 fingers, we're going to place them inside the rim just like this. I like to keep mine flat. Sometimes people, if they're used to throwing like baseballs or skipping stones, they kind of like to stack the fingers a little bit more. I don't know if you can see the difference between like this grip right here and this grip right here. And I sometimes switch between those two. Some people do one finger with the pointer finger, some people do the middle finger. Whatever's comfortable for you, again, play around with this. I like to do 2 fingers flat, thumb rests on top. All we're gonna do, guys, is let our wrist do the work. It doesn't have to be a huge run up. I want you to just stand still. You don't have to cock all the way back here like with the backhand throw. I want you to not even let this disc like go further past your hip, okay? Like don't let it go past that point. All we're gonna do is just flick our wrist. It's all in the wrist. We're gonna start slow and small, and then you just build up from there as you get more confident. We take it and flick your wrist. That's it. And then just grab your stack, guys, and just work on that. Stand still, face your target, nice and flat, maybe a little bit of hyzer, maybe anhyzer if they're more overstable, and we're just going to flick our wrist and work on those angles, see how your discs behave. Isn't it nice to face our target? Oh, threw that one in the woods. So to start learning forehands, that's all you have to do, guys. Is just pick up your discs, slowly work up into your fairway drivers and then your distance drivers. And as you get more comfortable seeking power, then throw harder. Reach back just a little bit more. But keep in mind, the power doesn't really come from the run up. We're just using our wrist, and we are shifting our weight and momentum, but really think about how much power is going into the wrist and focus on driving and following through with that. I think you'll find that you can throw a lot further than you probably expected you could. Y'all, it's September, and I really feel like the mosquitoes should be gone. There's one, he's about to crawl on the lens of the camera. They're the size of freaking buzzards right now. Blech. Get off my camera. So let's say that my disc lands, well, right behind that tree. I'm pretty sure that you've been here before. You don't have a backhand throw. You could try some kind of weird patent pending stance, but it's just not there. You have nowhere to stand, nothing to do, backhand's not gonna work. This is one of the biggest reasons you should learn to forehand, because it will dramatically improve your scramble game. And here's how. I get behind my lie, and yeah, I really don't have much of a backhand here, but I can step out, and now I've got full range with my forehand. I can release on hyzer, I can release flat, I can release on anhyzer. Because this is such a simpler motion, I can get that angle up pretty much wherever I want it, around trees, and as long as my foot is behind my lie, I'm still within my legal play. Now this is where overstable discs really come into play. I think one of the greatest scramble shots, like I actually enjoy it when I get to do it because I love pulling it off, is taking something like an overstable putter like this Toro here, or whatever you have. But anything overstable mid, overstable putter, fairway, doesn't matter. Chopping that puppy on anhyzer to get out of the woods, back into the fairway, and letting it flatten out and pan, ooh, chef's kiss, so good. So here's my lie. And instead of me fiddling around with the backhand, I can just, lean out, check my target. And hopefully get my par save, hopefully. And I know some of you are probably thinking, well, yeah, that only works if you have like a gap right in front of you. Well, you know what else the forehand is really good for? And these are actually really fun to learn. Forehand rollers. Again, forehands take your scramble game from here up to here. Another really good reason you should put some effort into learning them. Now, I truly believe there are many holes that you can throw forehand or backhand, just depending on what you're comfortable with. This right here, I don't think this is one of those holes. Just because that tree right there extends so far to the left now that in order to throw a turnover, you would pretty much have to go over the corner of this roof with like a grenade or something. So it's not even a turnover at that point. And you can probably see that gutter. A lot of people have tried to throw backhand here, and it just doesn't work out for them. The basket is right beneath that branch, so it's super low, so you have to throw super hard to get under it. Or you can throw a flex forehand. We're gonna try the Pyro. It is a mid-range, which is a bit more disc than I really need for this shot, but it is super stable. So let's see if we can't get the line with this. And that's it right there. Gave it just enough height to let it bend around those trees. Finish back right, should be parked. I think this angle really showcases that the low shot could work, but more likely it's not gonna happen. You're either gonna clip branches or you're gonna end up in circle two. You can see how bending around those trees and gently coming back in, that seems to be the play. Y'all, the lighting's getting bad. The mosquitoes are so thick. I don't know if you can see them on camera, but I'm having to call it. So hopefully I can get in some more footage to help make this video everything I wanted it to be. But like I said, I don't have as much time as I used to. And the time I do have, I'm trying to spend with my family and relax as much as I can. Hopefully I'll be putting out some more content for you guys pretty soon. Again, I think everyone should put some effort into learning how to forehand a disc. And my main point I really wanted to make with this video is just for your scramble game. Because even my friends that religiously throw backhands, they throw turnovers instead of forehand shots, the only times I see them pull out a forehand is to scramble in the woods. For that reason alone, just so your scramble game is on point, you guys should practice your forehands. So let me know in the comments what you guys have been up to, what you guys have been learning. I've been learning a lot. Mainly things about being a dad and about my work life and work-life balance and such, but I am getting to play a little bit of disc golf. So, a long-winded outro, but I miss you guys. Hope you're doing well. Learn how to forehand. Put a little bit of effort into it. And if it's just not for you, that's okay. Just look at Isaac Robinson. Look at James Conrad. Those guys are doing just fine. Until next time, gosh, have fun, get better, and stay decent.